Greetings, fuckers, and welcome back to my channel. So if you don't know why I'm saying that, I took a poll on Twitter and this is what you guys decided upon. Since I have a bigger audience here than on Twitter, let me know in the comments if you want me to change my salutation. I'm not doing it because I think guys is offensive. I'm always going to use guys as a gender neutral term, but just to spice things up, if you think I should, let me know in the comments. Anyway, as I was walking to my car after work, I got a message from someone and they were really nice and told me how I encouraged them to dare more. And that really got me thinking, and I've been thinking about this for a while, and as much as it makes me cringe to say I would like to make a motivational / inspirational video, mainly because that goes so against my brand, doesn't it? Because I'm not typically a positive person. I'm very cynical, and that seems to go quite against any inspirational / motivational message in my mind. But then again, maybe it's just me being harsh towards me because that is also part of my brand. I want to talk about things I needed to hear when I was younger, and maybe things that I heard but that I didn't really hear, if you know what I mean. I'm an only child, so I guess I never had anyone older than me, that apart from my parent obviously, to kind of impart any kind of wisdom. And I know that if parents impart wisdom, it's really hard to take it seriously in the sense that you're like, they're older than me, they don't understand, blah, blah, blah. Whereas they do understand, and they understand more than us, but sometimes it takes time, or sometimes it takes someone of your own age or close enough to you for messages to get through, which is why I feel like this video might be helpful to someone, because if I saw a video from someone, you know, my age that I watched on YouTube saying, hey, you know, like X, Y, and Z, maybe I would have listened, maybe I would have taken it more to heart. So that's what I'm gonna try and do here. Give a message to my younger self. I think the first thing and the most important thing, which is so cliche and so stereotypical, is just, this goes from high school to college to graduate school, because I can't really speak for past where I'm at right now, but I think that since I've gotten into graduate school, I have become a lot more confident, and since I have YouTube, I've gotten a lot more confident. And it's not because there are people watching and telling me, hey, I agree with you, or just because there are people watching. It's not because of that. I realize that it's because finally I'm doing something that I should have been doing years ago. I'm just saying the things that I believe. Now, note, everything that I'm saying shouldn't be taken as an absolute. When I say that thing you've wanted to say for years, if it's calling someone a bitch, like, maybe don't, you know? So don't take these as absolutes. Remember that everything is situational, okay? Please, that's just my little preface. But the thing is, I'm finally saying what I think. I'm not censoring myself anymore. I mean, there's always gonna be some censoring, but I'm saying what I think about the things that are important, and I'm not worried about people disliking me for it. When I give my opinions on YouTube, that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm saying what I think, and I know that some people won't like it, and I know some people might not respect it, or even respect me for having opinion X, but I'm saying it. And there is a huge difference in how I am now compared to how I was in high school. Obviously, there are plenty of factors for that, but I think one of the biggest factors is that in high school, I censored myself. And in high school, I was less, I guess, politically inclined, but it goes across the board, you know, like, it can be about someone who's treating you poorly. I censored myself. The boy or girl who's stringing you along, who you really kind of want to ask them, like, what the fuck are you doing to me? I censored myself. I let myself be strung along. It's, I guess, a question of empowerment to be able to say things to people. And I think I was a lot less confrontational back then, and still now, believe it or not. Confrontation for me is still uncomfortable. I think it never stops being uncomfortable. But the fact is, I force myself to have those confrontations for the most part. But really, the bottom line is, wherever you are in your life, if you feel like you're not saying things, if you feel like you're holding back too much, you know, like I know it's very easy for me to sit here and say, stop doing that, start talking, because it's not that easy. But at the same time, making a little effort every day to start standing up for yourself. Like I remember in high school, there are so many moments, especially towards the end of high school, where people belittled me for no reason, or people made me feel like I was less worthy than them because I wasn't popular, or because I didn't give a shit about, you know, like whatever their little clique was doing. I mean, I remember, this is such a depressing thing. I remember in high school, I went to prom with this person, and anyway, this person was popular compared to me. I was not popular whatsoever, like, no. And I remember people were being like, who's that? I mean, who's that person? And the person I was going to prom with told me about that, which I'm just like, why would you tell me that? That makes you feel like shit, right? Being like, people that are in your class don't even know who you are, and you have to be categorized as like, oh, is she the one with tattoos? Or like, oh, is she the one with X, Y, or Z? And that made me feel like shit, but I kind of took it. Like I thought that that was how things were and that it was true, or, you know, like that was okay when it's not okay, you know, like I'm not saying everyone had to know who I was or whatever, but the deeper point is that I should have told the person who relayed the information to me, who I went to prom with. I should have been like, why the fuck would you tell me that? Are you trying to remind me that you here have a status that I don't have, even if it's high school and it's bullshit and it's not going to mean anything in like a year when we graduate? I just wish I'd stopped caring earlier. And when I say stop caring, I mean that in a very particular way. I'm not saying stop caring about your grades. I'm not saying stop caring about what your parents say. I mean, in some degree, maybe stop caring about what your parents say. But what I'm saying is stop caring about the things that are making you feel like shit, but to stop caring about people and what they thought. And as cliche and as, you know, basic as that sounds, it's really fucking hard. It's really fucking hard, especially if you have a low self-esteem, especially if you have any kind of mental illness, you know, like if it's anxiety, if it's depression, if you have eating disorders, all of which I had and have some still. You know, it's really hard. But I found that once I started slowly kind of crossing into talking about things and just saying things as they were and accepting any kind of like hate or just criticism, anything that came my way, I felt like a weight was lifted from my back, and I felt like I was a person, not that girl with the tattoos, not that girl who is moderately unpopular, not that girl who always raises her hand when there's a silence that goes on for too long in class, but the person who can share their opinions, the person who is not scared to do that, the person who is willing for you to fire back and wants you to, you know, respond, comment, critique, whatever. It takes you getting outside of a comfort zone. Some changes will come along with age, but some changes I feel like you can start working on way earlier. And if I had any idea of what I would be now, back then, I would have started working on, you know, just not giving a shit about what people thought, to the point where I would say what I thought. Granted, I'd be respectful and I wouldn't just like throw out any thought I had. Thought out thoughts. But if I knew that I could get to this point just by working on it, I would have started working on it earlier. Because I feel like YouTube for me was the threshold. When I started YouTube, at first I was just talking about wigs, and then slowly I started going towards commentary. And commentary scared me for that very reason, that I was like, I'm putting myself out there, I'm putting my opinions out there, and people might really fucking hate me for it. And although I don't think any of my opinions are, extreme, though some people in the comments apparently do, YouTube was my practicing ground and still is kind of my practicing ground for getting my ideas out there, for getting my thoughts out there. I feel like this video is kind of messy, but I'm just telling you things as I thought of them. I didn't want this to be too scripted, but I'd like to encourage people to dare more. I hate using this word in reference to myself because it's so, but people have used it in messages they sent me, so I'll say it. Inspire people to speak up more, to say your truth. That makes me just think of the beauty community now. My truth. A million videos by every single beauty YouTuber. Anyway, I'd like people to know that there is some kind of freedom in that, and that as much as you might have to pay for it in some ways, where you might lose a friend because they can't respect your difference in opinion, you might have people critiquing you, and sometimes it's a lot to have people critiquing you. It can be very overwhelming, and I'm not going to sit here and say, oh yeah, nothing, like my skin is super, super tough, like I'm never upset by anything. No. There are points where you will be. There are days when you just cannot take the hate or the criticism, and that's fine. That's just something you work on. But wouldn't you rather live a life where you can say what you want within reason, like I said, and say what you think and just be okay with that? Be okay with being unapologetically yourself. Be okay with some of your flaws, being okay with yourself. And I feel like it comes down to that. Maybe that's what all of this is, Because I think that I didn't say my opinions not only because, maybe I was scared of the backlash, or maybe I thought I'd be made fun of, or whatever. It's maybe I just didn't feel like they were valid. I don't like that word either, but maybe that's why, because I wasn't okay with myself enough to be like, hey, your opinion isn't a stupid opinion. Your opinion is worth of being heard if you believe in it. If you have evidence to back up your opinion, if you have reasons to back up your opinion, why wouldn't you say it? And I think that it comes down to being unapologetically yourself. And that's why I feel like all the people that I really look up to, admire, support, they're unapologetically themselves, which doesn't mean that I agree with everything they do, which doesn't mean that I think they are better than everyone else, but I think they've tapped into something where they're just accepting it. They're accepting that they are X, Y, and Z, and they're talking about it. And I feel like I'm getting closer to doing that. There's still things about myself that I don't accept. There's some things that, I think are a lifetime struggle, to be honest, but being able to just be unapologetically yourself, that shit is refreshing. Those are the people that when I'm around them, I get just a boost of motivation of just holy fuck, there's so many things I could be doing. There's so many people I could be, talking to, interacting with. There are so many possibilities when you're around those people. That's how you feel. It's almost just like an adrenaline rush, because it's so rare, I feel like, at least in my everyday life, to come across people who aren't censoring themselves, who aren't just trying to be, under the radar, who aren't trying to just not upset anyone. And I'm not saying go out there, try to upset someone, but whatever opinion you have can upset one person. This kind of went in a lot of different directions that I wasn't expecting. I have no idea for how long I've talked, but I don't know. I just had this kind of urge to film this today. And I don't know if it's because I've had a particularly draining week that I started thinking about all these things that have made me feel better in my life, because this week hasn't been great and I haven't been feeling great. So I was trying to think of what did make me feel great. And being you unapologetically is something that I cannot emphasize enough how important that is. I feel like most of the people that you probably look up to are like that. And I feel like that's why we gravitate towards certain celebrities also. There's so many celebrities that I see that are adored by the masses. Let's take Rihanna, for example. It's because she doesn't give a fuck, or at least that's what it looks like. Now, we don't know behind closed doors, but It's because she does not give a damn, okay? She's just doing her thing, and that's being unapologetically yourself. Whether you like Rihanna or not, she's just an example. But people gravitate towards her and her vibe. I'm just using all the words I fucking hate in this video, but okay. There's something to be said for being unapologetically yourself. Apart from what it does for you, you know, it'll attract the right people towards you. It'll attract people who maybe are still struggling, but at least can see eye to eye with you because they can understand why you're doing the things you're doing, why you're saying the things you're saying. This was a message from 24-year-old me to, I don't know, 17-year-old me maybe. I hope you guys find this video potentially interesting, potentially helpful. Let me know in the comments. Let me know if there was any message you'd give younger you. Because I'd love to know what you guys struggled with if you feel like talking about that in the comments. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you to my patrons as always, and I'll catch you guys next time.